Hello, my name is Sandra Edelsbrunner. I am an educational designer at the organizational unit Educational Technology at Graz University of Technology. I'm happy to present our paper Quiz Feedback in MOOCs from the perspective of learning analytics, role of first quiz attempts today. I will now switch to the presentation. These slides are available under a CC BY license, and the full paper will be published in the ICL Proceedings. First of all, I'm going to talk briefly about the existing research on quiz results and feedback from the perspective of learning analytics. Then I'm going to present the methodology we chose for our research and give an overview of iMooCs, the Austrian MOOC-platform, our selected MOOC and its quizzes and quiz attempts. And finally, I will present the results and give an outlook for future research. In our full paper, we present some of the existing research into the role of quizzes and their results for learning activities. We chose 3 references as an example on this slide. Several studies report a strong effect of quiz results for the final assessment. For example, Admiral, Huisman and Pili compared different assessment procedures in MOOCs to determine how they're related to the result of the final exam. They took the data of 3 MOOCs with nearly 100,000 participants, where quizzes, self-assessments, and peer assessments and a final exam were available. For all 3 MOOCs, one of the 4 quizzes was the strongest explanatory variable, whereas other differences in the MOOC design have not produced any coherent correlation to the quizzes. In another study, Angrani asked participants concerning their satisfaction of 6 different functionalities of an edX or a Coursera course after 2 weeks of participation, whereas they found no relation to learner satisfaction and the quiz feature of edX, they did find a relation to satisfaction and the quiz feature of Coursera. Nevertheless, the authors give no explanation for this and do not share any details of the MOOCs. The third insight is from Paptoma and colleagues. From their qualitative interviews, it emerged that different perceptions of assessment forms in MOOCs, especially when it comes to automatic feedback or peer assessment, may also be related to different cultural backgrounds and previous experiences. We found it of interest to consider quizzes and their feedback as helpful criteria to support and guide learners in a MOOC. Such data analysis, interpretations and applications to support learning processes are assigned to the area of learning analytics. As quiz results are easy to count and analyze, they are potentially the most important and already available kind of learning analytics for MOOCs. So, taking this into account, the state of research on this topic is surprisingly scarce. Although quiz results and feedback seems to be an obvious criterion for learner support, there is not a large number of studies on the topic. Before this background, the purpose of our investigation is to explore how a positive or negative outcome of a quiz as a form of feedback for learners influences their further activity in a MOOC. This study also aims to elaborate whether available data and participants' activities help us understand the effects of a negative or positive feedback in a MOOC quiz. Our study uses learning analytics to visualize student activities concerning the quizzes in a single selected MOOC. We chose only one MOOC as a first step to be aware of the special setting and its potential influences. The starting point for our investigation is the information when and how often participants attempted a quiz. Additionally, activity logs, information about badges, and an activity overview of participants serves as the basis for our research. As we did our investigations in the context of a certain MOOC, I will describe now the platform and the MOOC. The MOOC in our research was offered on iMooX, which is the Austrian MOOC-platform hosted by Graz University of Technology. It was established in 2013 on the basis of the open source system Moodle, and it serves as a platform for online courses following the XMOOC design concept. The course language is mainly German, but there are also several courses in English and other languages available. Currently, iMooX counts about 50,000 registered users and has hosted more than 120 MOOCs. All courses are openly licensed and available under CC licenses, so it is possible to use and reuse as well as modify them. Several MOOCs are part of lectures at universities or provided by partner universities, so that a variety of design concepts such as blended MOOCs or pre-MOOCs have already been explored. Following the XMOOC concept, most of the MOOCs are organized in units with videos and a discussion forum for exchange by learners. And a prerequisite for passing the MOOC is a 75% quota or result in each quiz. So a quiz is part of each unit. Each quiz can be repeated up to 4 times, and the system records the highest result for each quiz. Learners receive feedback on their attempts and see their correct answers in their feedback. So on the one hand, the quizzes can be used as a self-assessment as they can be repeated. On the other hand, the final certificate requires the successful completion of all quizzes. In our publication, we analyzed data of the MOOC Teaching and Learning with Digital Media, or in German Lernen und Lernen mit digitalen Medien 1, a MOOC that was delivered in 2019 and 2020. The MOOC was available for free and open to everyone who wanted to participate. However, the main target group are future teachers. The MOOC was co-designed by lecturers from 6 Austrian universities and integrated into their regular lecture system. As shown in this figure, the MOOC served as the lecture part in a combined lecture with practical setting at all partner universities. In other words, the universities asked their students to join the MOOC and additionally take part in a face-to-face practical course. The final grade is based on a final exam with similar multiple choice questions as in a MOOC and a piece of project work, an educational video produced in groups. The MOOC had 1,484 registered participants, of which 2/3 took at least one quiz, which can be seen in the 3rd row, and about half of them successfully finished all the necessary quizzes, see the 5th row. 192 participants had at least one quiz attempt, but did not reach the necessary points overall and did not complete the MOOC, as can be seen in row 4. At all the universities in the network, 605 participants successfully passed the final exam, including the corresponding exercise and MOOC. Each of the 6 units had one quiz, consisting of 2 to 6 multiple choice questions, where participants could receive up to 10 points. If we now take a closer look at quiz attempts, we can see that each participant took nearly 10 quiz attempts on average, which can be seen in the last row. And interestingly, the quiz with the most participants was quiz 4, not quiz 1. Let's now have a look at activities concerning quizzes laid out on a timeline. Participants normally take the quiz at the end of each unit, and there is a new unit each week, thus the weekly overview here. We can see accumulation of quiz attempts from the 7th to 14th of May, which also matches the larger number of participants who tried the quiz in Unit 4, as we could see in the previous table. Looking at general quiz results, and here only the results of the single best quiz are counted, we can see a frequency distribution with a large number of participants who did not receive enough points to pass or did not attempt enough quizzes to reach a positive result. They are seen on the left, and we can see an even larger number of participants who received a full 60 points on the right. If we take a look at successful and unsuccessful quiz attempts, as the passing, in other words, reaching 7.5 points or more, or failing to pass, might influence the following activities. Although we have seen that many different individuals attempt a quiz 4, the sum of attempts is different. The most attempts are counted in quiz 1, and the number tends to decrease with each unit. There is no obvious correlation to the number of questions in a quiz, and in sum, about 28% of the quiz attempts failed to pass and reached the 7.5 points. In the following section, we'll focus on the very first quiz attempt of each participant. No one is forced to start with the quiz in Unit 1, so it's not a given that the first attempt is always quiz 1. Nevertheless, most of the first attempts were the quiz in Unit 1 and only 8 participants out of 943 started with another quiz. The success rate for the very first quiz attempt was 58.6% in this MOOC. The following scatter plot shows the test results of the first attempt on the x-axis and the sum of all best quiz attempts on the y-axis. In other words, it shows many who were not successful in their very first attempt but still passed the MOOC successfully in the end. And we also see people who passed the quiz at the first attempt but did not reach the finally needed score for the MOOC certificate. There's no clearly visible connection or correlation. This is also shown by the statistically positive but small correlation between the result of the first test attempt and the total score. So according to our explorative analysis of a single MOOC, Teaching and Learning with Digital Media in 2019, with almost 1,500 participants, the overall quiz activity is very high and quizzes are repeated frequently. The correlation between a successful first quiz attempt and the final course result is statistically given but moderate. This result does not allow for a direct conclusion that positive feedback at the first attempt is a good indicator for future success in the MOOC. Potentially, such early successes influence learners' expectations to thinking that MOOCs and quizzes are easy and it lowers their activities and attention in the long run. As shown with our review of current literature and research, this first explorative study provides some ideas on how and where to work with data to find patterns. Quiz results, for example, might be a strong and helpful indicator for learning activity as well as for learning results. Thank you very much for your attention. And for any further questions, please refer to my colleagues Sandra Schön and Martin Ebner at Graz University of Technology.